Hey, gymnastics mom, are you frustrated watching your gymnast just not believe in herself, not believe that what you see that she's capable of, not believe that she's capable of that, just really stuck in some negative thinking or some self-doubt, maybe fear, pressure, anxiety, stress? This video is for you. My name is Stacy Roman, and I am one of the co-founders of Gymnastics Mindset Academy, and you are in Mindset for Moms, where we help moms develop happy, emotionally healthy gymnasts who know how to win. This month, we're talking about the thought ladder, about how to actually think positively. And the tool that we use is what we call the thought ladder that takes them from their current negative belief all the way up to a positive belief. Now, if you haven't watched the earlier videos on this, please go back and watch them. I'm starting in the middle. This would be like jumping into the second movie of a trilogy. So go back and watch those if you haven't watched it already. But the idea of the thought ladder is to help them move like progressions in the gym, step by step by step, from this negative belief that's limiting them to this positive belief. Now, this could be a huge negative belief, like I don't have what it takes to be a D1 gymnast, or no college is going to want me, or I'm just not good enough, or there's just something wrong with me and I'm not enough. It could be like really limiting beliefs, or it could just be simply like, I can't get this switch split full all the way around. Like it could, could be a little one. Can't straighten my legs on this skill. So it's often more helpful to start with some of the little ones than to try to tackle the big identity negative beliefs. But this thought ladder works for all of them. And in the last video, I talked about the thought ladder and the different rungs. And we're going to camp out on the first rung, which is my belief is that it is the most important, and it kind of takes the longest, but once you move past it, the rest of them go pretty quick. So the first rung is helping their brains believe that this is a thought and not a fact. So our brains have reticulated activating system. Reticulated activating system, or the RAS, is basically like a filter. There's like so many hundreds of millions of particles of data, I don't know what the right word is, coming to us at once, and our brains can't process all of it at once. And so our brain kind of like creates a filter that's like, this is the things that I'm going to let in. Have you ever noticed, like, you had a car and then you go get a new car and now all of a sudden you see that car everywhere? Before, your RAS wasn't letting in the other cars. You never even noticed them. You didn't even see that they were there. And now all of a sudden it sees them everywhere. This is how your RAS works. This is why we have confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means like we believe what we believe, and then we're going to see evidence to prove that true everywhere around us. Confirmation bias is not the scientific method. The scientific method is the idea of like, I'm going to put this hypothesis and see if it's true. The way that our brain works, like just on its own, on autopilot, is I believe this is true, and then I'm going to find the proof for that everywhere around me. And that's just how every brain works. So your gymnast has this thought, and she is finding evidence for it everywhere. She's finding evidence for why colleges don't want her. She's finding evidence for why she can't get this new skill. She's finding evidence for why her coach doesn't like her. She's going to have this thought, and then she is going to believe that it is a fact. The sky is blue. It is 88 degrees outside right now. I live in Florida. I think it's like 98 right now. It's hot outside at this specific temperature. These are just the facts, ma'am. Thank you. And I can't hit beam in a competition, and I can't get this skill that I need, and colleges aren't going to want me, or whatever the thought or belief is. Her brain is convinced that it's a fact, and it's found lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of evidence to back up why it's true. So loosening that up and helping her believe that it's not a fact, that it's just a thought, and that it's optional on whether or not she wants to keep thinking it. That she can actually choose to build a new neural pathway. Right now, she's got this old neural pathway that's super deep that she's used forever and ever. And she can actually build a new one and have a different thought if she wants to. So But you can see why then we're dug in so deep. And you can see this for yourself too. A lot of the beliefs and the thoughts that you have, you're dug in really deep on. And so the ones that aren't serving you are the ones that we want to try. And what do I mean by not serving you? Meaning they're not getting you the result in life that you want to get. And so if this thought isn't serving you, if this belief isn't serving you, then you may want to form a different belief. And so when you want to form a different belief, then this is the process. The first step is realizing it's just a thought. How do you know it's a thought? Well, does everyone in the world believe it? I mean, even facts, like, facts are measurable. Facts are things that, no one is disputing. Facts are things that everybody agrees upon. Facts are neutral. They're not causing a lot of negative emotion. Facts are exactly what happened. So she was speeding. She was going so fast is not a fact. She was going 88 miles per hour as clocked by radar is a fact. So, but here's the thing. When you're stuck in a belief, arguing that it's not true with your brain and trying to it doesn't always help. So sometimes it's just, does this serve me? Is this helpful? And if it's not, then maybe I want to change it. I don't need to focus on whether or not it's true or false. What the sentence that I love is, I notice that I'm thinking whatever thought, and I might be wrong about that. Or I notice that I'm thinking, and maybe that's not what I want to keep thinking. Or I notice that I'm thinking and I don't want to keep thinking that. Or I notice I'm thinking and that thought just doesn't serve me. And it's just helping them loosen up. So every single time they notice that they're thinking that, every time I notice that I'm thinking, I notice I'm writing it out, but just constantly helping their brain start to believe and loosen up to the idea that this is just a thought and it's not a fact. So I'm going to talk in the next video about how to move from wrong to wrong, and that will apply to this one too. But I wanted to spend some extra time on this one because this is the one that is really where people get stuck, because they spend a lot of time arguing for their limitations, arguing for why that negative thought is true. Their brain really wants to hold on to it. And I'm going to go into something kind of advanced. So if you're already feeling like, okay, that was a lot, you can be done right now. But our brains there's a concept called secondary gain. And secondary gain is this idea that when we believe something that isn't actually helpful for us, but our brain really wants to hold on to it because it thinks that it's holding on to it for a reason that is keeping us safe. So secondary gain can be like, for instance, if she's afraid, if your gymnast is afraid, this is really common, that if she's really good, like if she wins everything, that people won't like her, like that her teammates won't like her, or that like other people will be jealous of her and they won't be friends with her anymore. We see this a lot on the internet of like getting internet trolls or having people say mean things about you on the internet. But so sometimes our brain thinks like, if I'm really good, if I win, if I reach my potential, if I'm doing the best, other people won't like me. This happens a lot in like they work so hard to get to college, and then you get to college and then it's like, well, I really want to make the lineup. And if I make the lineup and knock out my friend might be mad at me. And our brain really wants to protect us from being like cast out from the crowd. And so I talk about that a lot, social standing in other videos. I'm not going to go into it now. But because of that, our brain can then, the secondary gain is like, well, if I worked with a gymnast for about 2 years who had a mental block on her bars, especially her dismount, and we just could not get past it. And we finally broke through and realized that every time she did well at a meet, her friends would be really jealous of her. And she really cared about what her friends thought. She was, a very social girl. And so when she was always struggling with bars, one, she couldn't win the all around. And two, they kind of felt bad for her because she was struggling with bars. So it was okay that she did really well in the other events. And they didn't get mad at her anymore. And when she finally realized that the reason she had this mental block on her dismount on bars was because she was trying to protect herself from her friends being mad that she did too well, she was like, heck with that. She had no idea that her brain was trying to protect her. So a lot of times we have this secondary reason on why we want to hold on to this so tight. And so sometimes figuring out that can be super helpful too. Like, well, how does it benefit you to keep believing this? And they'll say like, oh, well, it doesn't. And I'm like, well, no, it does in some way, or you wouldn't keep believing it. So like, how does it benefit you to keep believing that you can't get this skill? Well, if I believe that I can't get it, then I don't have to move up to the high beam and do it. That's really common. They're like, they won't do it on the low beam because they're scared of having to do it in competition, or they won't do it on the pit bar because they're scared of having to do it on the set. And so they won't flip their vault into the pit because they're scared of having to do that. And so the secondary gain is like, I'm protecting you from that future thing by where you are right now. That's a huge one that happens all the time. So anyways, I digress. Helping release that first thought is the first step in believing something new. And we work with gymnasts on this all year long. We do it a couple of different times through the year where this is our main focus, is working on new beliefs, because this is the foundation for everything else. And so we would love to see your gymnast inside our program, helping her believe in herself, helping her have positive thinking that is going to fuel her getting the results that she wants. And like I said, we have a free guide, we have a parent training, and then we teach this to kids deep inside our program. And we can't wait to see you on the inside.